SOSG, 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 standing on solid ground. Hello, this is Kim with Standing on Solid Ground. I am your host of this motivational and inspirational podcast, and today's Mendacious Character, Tobiah. Tobiah, according to the book of Nehemiah, the Hebrew Bible, and the Old Testaments, Tobiah was an Ammonite official who attempted to hinder Nehemiah's efforts to rebuild Jerusalem after the Babylonian exile and took over the storerooms of the temple of his own use. The name Tobiah, God is good, it is a boy's name, meaning God is good. Now, Tobiah was one of the two characters that I'm going to use in this one that was set up against Nehemiah. Nehemiah wanted to rebuild the place or the cities that Jerusalem or the children of Israel, was living. It was in shambles. It was destroyed. It was just horrific that Nehemiah's spirit was troubled so much that he wanted to go in and rebuild what had been destroyed of the children of Israel. Nehemiah, he did ask for permission to do so. Well, in doing so, he began to be mocked, made fun of, laughed at. And then after they saw that nothing was going to distract him or destroy him or stop him from rebuilding their home, their place of dwellings, Tobiah began to scheme. He began to mock, make fun of Nehemiah and the things that he was doing. And it saddens me that when you think about it, someone wanted to keep the children of Israel in a desolate state, in a destroyed area where they're living up high on the hog. They wanted to keep these people down. They did not want them to grow or to expand. And so Tobiah, he did whatever he could to maliciously destroy or to stop Nehemiah, from being successful in his journey and the task that he had pleaded and asked God if he could do. And as Nehemiah continued to build the walls and to build up the city, Tobiah was doing everything that he knew how to do to stop them. He wanted to stop them. He wanted to get kings and governors and, different ones involved in this to build up against Nehemiah, to stop him from rebuilding Jerusalem and to building and giving these people a sense of security. And as we continue and listen to and read about this story, it becomes very apparent that if we think about it in today's time, we can see that there are those people that when they start building themselves up, they want other people to stay down. And if you don't believe me, look at the homelessness around us. Look at the people that are living out on the streets and in their cars and in condemned buildings just to have a roof over their head. And although we can say, if they would just get up and go out here and work and do this and do that, they can make a change for their own life. And in some cases, that could be true. But if you have people that have stomped you down and beat you down and talk bad about you and just really do some things that is just horrific. They feel like the streets is probably better for them than being around humankind, because we often pass judgment on people and we don't know their circumstances. We don't know what they had to go through. I was surprised to find out that so many of these individuals that are homeless were doctors, were attorneys, were nurses, were stockbrokers. They had those wonderful jobs. They had the lifestyle, but they fell on hard times. And Tobiah was one of those individuals that really wanted to keep the children of Israel down. They didn't want them to have anything finer. They did not want them to have anything nice. Security, where they can have something over their heads. God was always with them, but it took them to find out they need leadership. They needed someone to lead them. If you go back, Moses had to lead them out. Then it was Joshua. Then all of a sudden they ended up in the hands of the enemy. Then it took other individuals to go and pull them out. If you think about Mordecai, he fought for them. His niece was the queen. And so there lies that there is someone that is always needed to fight for the poor, because they can't fight for themselves. That they need to have someone out there that's for the homeless, to take them off the street, to give them a place to stay. I watched a mortgage company yesterday, and I was so happy to see that there is now mortgage companies out here that are willing to lend a helping hand for the homeless. And Nehemiah was that leader, was that one that needed to go out and fight for the children of Israel, to help build up their area. But Tobiah wasn't having it. He wanted to do everything that he possibly could do to stop Nehemiah, to discourage him, to make him walk away, scare him, buck up to him. But Nehemiah had God on his side. And who gonna buck up to God? They got the land finished. They got the city built back up. They had roofs over their heads. Tobiah couldn't stop anything. This was a mendacious character because he stood up against a man of God. And this was Nehemiah. Nehemiah was the one that was bold and brave enough to go in and help his people get back up on their feet. They needed that leadership. They had leadership from the time they left Egypt, and they needed to stay under that positive leadership. But every time they disobeyed, of course, God had to turn his back away from them, because he could not stand to see what they were doing. After everything that God had done for them, he had to turn his back. But it took men of God to come into the picture to say, hey, we're going to do this. I want to go and help my people. I want to go and help your people have a place to call home and not live in such a destruction. That was a normal, honorable thing. But Tobiah, he was like, oh, no, we're going to have to stop this. But after the king had wrote out letters and stuff to let them know, no, I stand with Nehemiah to do this, they had to step back because God was with Nehemiah. And Tobiah had no room and no power against God to overtake and to stop Nehemiah from doing what God had sent him to do. Again, the mendacious character, Tobiah, a man that was against Nehemiah for building up the city of Jerusalem, that the habitation for the children of Israel can be whole again. This is Kim with Standing on Solid Ground. You have yourself a wonderful and blessed day.